Well, welcome back from that short break. Let's move on to our next report. In a bid to address why a lot of bills that were passed by the National Assembly have been rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari, both chambers set up committees to investigate the matter. The Senate committee has completed its own work and submitted a report. What are the recommendations put forward in that report? Let's take this report.
Presidential decision to decline assent to the Nigerian Film Commission Bill 2018.
My decision on 19 March 2019 to decline presidential assent to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria Bill 2018.
Presidential decision to decline assent to the Ajakuta Steel Company Completion Fund Bill 2018.
It's an avalanche of bills rejected by President Muhammadu Buhari in the 8th Assembly. At the last count, President Buhari has declined assent to more than 30 bills from the National Assembly. The Senate set up a technical committee to consider the issues raised in the executive communication from President Buhari, where he explained the reasons for declining assent to the bills. The committee concluded its work during the week, and the chairman presented the report at Wednesday's plenary session. The committee recommended that the Senate override President Buhari's veto on 2 bills: the 4th Alteration No. 28 Bill of the 1999 Constitution and the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Amendment Bill of 2018. The Constitution Amendment Bill seeks to make it mandatory for the President and Governor of a state to prepare and present before the Parliament the budget for the following financial year, not later than 90 days to the end of the financial year, and for Parliament to pass the budget before the commencement of the next financial year. The second bill to be vetoed will amend the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Act by allowing companies expand their operations in pioneer industry to apply for a new pioneer status.
That the Senate do override Mr. President's veto on the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, 4th Alteration No. 28 Bill 2018. That the Senate do override Mr. President's veto on the Industrial Development Income Tax Relief Amendment Bill 2018.
The committee also recommended that the Senate consider and pass again some of the bills and also withdraw some others.
That the Senate do consider and pass again the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill 2018. 10. That the Senate do withdraw the Chartered Institute of Entrepreneurship Establishment Bill 2018.
While the recommendations on withdrawing some of the bills, as well as reconsideration of some others, will go through less stringent legislative channels, overriding the president's veto is another kettle of fish, which will require the vote of majority of lawmakers in both chambers.
Any member has a petition.
In a similar vein, following concerns regarding the number of bills vetoed by the president, the House of Representatives had set up a committee to study the reasons presented by the president for withholding assent to some of the bills and advise the House appropriately. The chairman of the committee gives an update on the work.
As of now, we have over 40 of such bills that the president withheld assent to. As of now, we've acted on about 8. We're still acting on more, that is from the House of Representatives. Some of them we have seen merit in the reasons adduced by Mr. President for withholding assent. Some of them have to do with redrafting, renumbering of some clauses, or some issues that are not very fundamental. So the House didn't have any difficulty in reconsidering some of those issues, and they're going through the legislative meal. We'll send them to the Senate. If they agree with us, they will send them back to Mr. President. Hopefully, he would assent to those bills because we have taken care of all the concerns that he raised. Some of those bills that have far-reaching implications in terms of the scope of work that we ought to do, some of them we may consider leaving them for the 9th Assembly to reconsider afresh. And we're still studying some of those bills. But I want to assure you that if for any reason we, let us say, comply with the demands of Mr. President and he goes ahead to still withhold assent. Then the National Assembly will look at the issue again, and if we are sure that we have the numbers to override that veto, we would override the veto.
Well, we must now wait for the committee set up by the House of Representatives to complete their own work and come up with their recommendations. When will that report be ready? Will it be ready before the lifespan of the 8th National Assembly expires? Very key questions begging for answers. Anyway, let's take some other events that occurred this week.
Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have condemned the killing of a lecturer and other civilians in Rivers State by officers of the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad and the Nigerian Army. According to Representative Kingsley Chinda, who sponsored the motion, the killings took place during the recent round of elections in the state. The House has mandated a joint committee to investigate the matter and report back to the House within 2 weeks.
The House also knows that during the said elections, there was palpable presence of heavily armed men of the security agencies, including the Federal Special Anti-Robbery Squad, FSAS, and the Nigerian Army in several places across the country, including Rivers State, and clear cases of harassment and intimidation of voters and electoral officials, and sporadic shootings by men of the security agencies with the aim to instill fear in the people. The House further notes that there was reports and viral aware that on about the 9th day of March 2019, at Kana Local Government Area Collation Center, Dr. Ferry Berebe, a lecturer with the Kensariwa Polytechnic, Bori, in Rivers State, was shot in his lower abdomen by men of Federal SAS, led by ACP Akim Fakorede, and he died few days later from the gun wound. Also at Degema, one Mrs. Ibisiki Amakri was shot dead by men of the Nigerian Army. The House is worried that the recent killings of innocent unarmed civilians in Rivers State by men of the Federal SAS is one too many in cases of extrajudicial killings across the country and ought to be investigated.
The House of Representatives has urged the Federal Ministry of Finance to review upwards the tax policy for tobacco and alcoholic beverages in the country. The sponsor of the motion, Rep. Sagios Ogun, informed the House that other African countries impose higher taxes and an executive circular approving a review of the excise duty on the product and has not been implemented. The House approved the motion and has mandated its Committee of Finance to ensure compliance.
The House also observes that the government's policy to increase the excise duty rate on tobacco products within the 3-year period, which may amount to 30% to 35% in 2020, does not meet the World Health Organization's WHO recommended 75% excise tax burden, which is the current global best practice. The House is also aware that the new excise policy is aimed at not only increasing government's revenue, but more importantly, improving public health, given the well-known deadly consequences of tobacco use, hence the desire for a more drastic excise policy. The President in the said circular gave a 90-day extension period to manufacturers of the affected products to fashion out ways to cushion the effect of the policy on their industry. The House is disturbed that even after the 90-day extension period granted by the President had elapsed on 4 September 2018, there is no significant implementation of the policy.
The Senate has urged the federal government to do everything within its powers to secure the release of the last Dapchi schoolgirl, Leah Sharibu, from the captivity of Boko Haram terrorists. The Senate's appeal followed a point of order by Senator Shehu Sani, which drew the attention of the federal government to the continuous captivity of Leah Sharibu. The lawmaker asked for prompt legislative intervention to bring Leah Sharibu back home. Senator Shehu Sani is also asking for the release of the remaining Chibok girls still in Boko Haram captivity. Leah Sharibu was abducted along with 111 other schoolgirls on February 19, 2018 from her school, Government Girls Science and Technical Secondary School in Dapchi, Yobe State. The federal government negotiated the release of the other girls, but was unable to secure the release of Leah Sharibu, who was unwilling to denounce her Christian faith to regain her freedom.
It's over a year. They remain in captivity in the hands of the insurgents, and it's almost over 5 years since the abduction of the Chibok girls. The abduction of Leah Sharibu and others have raised national and international concern on the need for the federal government and all Nigerians to put hands, hearts, and heads together to work to secure her release. Her continuous detention in the hands of the captives should touch on the conscience of all Nigerians. The federal government must not be tired of exploring all possible means of reaching out to those who are holding her and others hostage to secure their freedom. Efforts have actually been made by the government, but it has not been able to provide the necessary result, and the civil groups have continuously applied pressure, and the media has kept her issue and that of others alive. I think it is important for us to understand and to know and to continue to take the advantage of the options of dialogue to see the possibility of getting her out of captivity.
So, how will you rate the work done by the lawmakers this week? What about the decision of the Senate to override the president's veto? Send in your views through any of our platforms on the screen and let's hear from you. This is where we call it a day. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Lanre Lasisi. Take care.